We keep welcoming our participants. We can give them a few more minutes, then we can start as we get a few more joining. Princess, good morning. We are starting in a short while. We are giving our participants a few more minutes to join us, and then we'll be able to start. Princess, karibu sana. We have 13 participants so far, and we are 15 minutes into time. Perhaps we can start. We can start this exciting session, and the other participants can join us. Good morning. I want to welcome you this morning, and thank you very much for joining us at CPF once again. We have been working with women in business for quite some time now, and we are really excited to have you back this morning. Thank you, and welcome to this webinar. Today we are discussing a very exciting topic, the topic of partnership, the topic of collaboration, and most important, trust. I read a book a few years ago, a book by David Hosegar, and in David Hosegar's book, he says that the current currency for doing business is trust. And when we build trust, we build collaborations, then our businesses and our organizations grow. Even our networks as human beings, as individuals, our networks grow. So we are really very excited to have you here this morning discussing this very, very exciting conversation. I want to welcome all of you. I want to welcome our participants. I want to welcome our panelists and the team from CPF Financial Services, and specifically the team from CPF Consulting. I want therefore to ask that as we begin this conversation, if we could invite the presence of the Lord in this session so that he can guide our conversation. Allow me to invite Edith Chepkorir to lead us in a word of prayer. Edith, please.
Let's bow down for a word of prayer. Our dear Heavenly Father, we come before you this morning. We say thank you for everything that you have done unto our lives. Thank you for the good health. Thank you for the gift of life, my Father. Even as we start this webinar, my Father, we pray that you may start with us. You may guide us all through. You may grant us wisdom, my Father, to deliver, and also you may make this webinar be impactful in the lives of our participants, my Father. For this, I pray, trusting and believing. In Jesus' name, amen.
A big amen to that. Thank you very much, Edith. This morning, dear participants, we are privileged to have a great speaker with us, a speaker who has been in this field for a long time, a speaker who is quite experienced in matters grant writing, in matters collaborations and partnerships. And we want to urge you that all those questions you've been having about how do we build our businesses, how do we scale them up, this is the time, this is the opportunity that we have to interact with our speaker. Allow me, ladies and gentlemen, to introduce to you our main speaker, Professor Mwangi. And Professor Mwangi is an associate professor from the university that we all love, Kenyatta University. Why we all love it is because I am an alumni of Kenyatta University, alumnus of Kenyatta University, and so we truly do love Kenyatta University. Professor Mwangi is an associate professor in the School of Agriculture and Enterprise Development at Kenyatta University. He holds a Bachelor of Science, a Master of Science from the University of Nairobi. He has his master degree, MBA from Columbia, UK. He gained his PhD from Bonn University in Germany. I don't know how much I can say about the credentials I'm seeing here. Professor has been to school in Nairobi, he's been to school in Germany, he's been to school in the UK, he's been to school in South Africa, he's been to school in Florida, USA, and he's been in very many institutions. And so we have someone who has a global reach. He has a global reach, he has experience in agribusiness, he has experience in gender matters, he has experience in leadership, and he has experience in dealing with ladies, and let me say dealing with women. He consults widely on issues of organizational capacity building and partnerships, issues of program evaluation in agribusiness and related matters. He is currently the Director, Innovation Support. This is big and I love it. I really love what I'm seeing, that he is currently the Director, Innovations, Incubation, and University Industry Linkages. Quite great. If you're talking linkages, then we are talking collaborations. Allow me therefore to invite Professor at this moment to bring to light this conversation about partnerships and collaborations. Professor Maina Mwangi, karibu sana.
Thank you, Rosemary. Good morning, and good morning, all the participants and fellow panelists. It is my pleasure to be amongst you this morning. I want to share my slides. I don't know whether they are visible. Can somebody confirm?
Yes, I confirm. I can see that.
Okay, great. Thank you very much. Thank you. So I am very grateful and appreciative of the opportunity to be here. And thank you, Rosemary, for that kind introduction. I would also like to add that I have learned many things by interacting with the people experienced in different things like those in this forum. We all sharpen each other and gather knowledge as we go along, the journeys of our lives. So I thank you for the opportunity to interact with you on this matter of building trust and collaboration. And as has been said, I'm at Kenyatta University currently in the office which is managing innovations and our linkages with industry, and industry being really very widely representative of all organizations that we work with, the NGO, in the public sector, private sector, and really just about everyone who enriches and completes the work we do of research and training at the university. To start off, this graph here picks out some statistics. And I believe because the members here, this is what you do every day. So these are statistics, and maybe you even have more, up-to-date ones of where are women, because this is more a women a forum, a forum for women in business. So I've picked out some statistics which just highlight how critical women are in driving enterprise, contributing to society, to the well-being and the development of our nation, and indeed the world. And the statistics speak for themselves, that women are important. They are in business. The thing is, not all these businesses, they are not the same. There are differences. They are informal, they are formal ones. Their profiles vary. That is the story that emerges. One of the things that is already well documented is that women are more in trade and service sectors. I just highlight on this slide, some of the diverse areas where women predominate in Kenya. In fact, the word predominate is repeatedly applied when associating these sectors with women. And I will tell you why I have highlighted them. As you can see, a bit of them are either in food-related, agriculture, catering services, quite a bit in the clothing or textile sector, and of course there are other divisions to education. Recently, strong push into technology and the retail sector. I would also like to highlight what I find. There are not very many women businesses in some sectors, for example, construction, security, transport, and logistics. This is just a few examples, and I'm sure you most likely will have better information on this. Now, why I bring out this comparison of sectors where women are strong and where they are not is because part of the topic we are dealing with today on collaborations and partnerships is what can help to extend our reach or grow into sectors where we are not, or indeed into segments that could be probably more profitable, and as entrepreneurs, we are not active at the moment. So what can collaborations do? Because collaborations can serve many purposes. And for the purpose of this discussion today, I would like to look at collaboration from a point of view of enabling our businesses to grow, to be more competitive, to position ourselves more strategically. So, and I wish that we assess or review whatever partnerships we want to get into in terms of how well do they enable us, to become more robust and better in the things we are doing. So, but widely in all the sectors where we are doing business, it is good that we expand space. Businesses become more inclusive. We shouldn't be seeing some sectors where either are dominated by more men or more women. We know, obviously, the statistics for women are less currently than for men, but we need businesses to be more inclusive in wholesome. We need to see businesses growing more sustainably. The issue of sustainability in business growth is a key issue. It's a key issue. Times are different. We see the changes that are taking place all over the world and bringing turmoil, and businesses are being affected. So now the benefits that can be derived from collaborations or partnerships will very much depend on what industry are we in, and even where in that industry are we located, because we are operating, every industry operates the activities are in a chain more or less, and everyone is located somewhere. There are not many businesses that straddle or occupy more than one location within a chain. Most businesses are confined to some specific position. So as we move ahead, some key questions to consider and to keep in mind: what's the business that we are in? Individually, to ask ourselves, what is my business? What segment of the chain am I in? In other words, where am I located? Is it really the most profitable? Am I really competitive? And even if I am at the most lucrative position, because when you are occupying the best position, there will be people seeking to dislodge you and occupy that position. So are you really competitive? Are you able to hold that position? What are your growth objectives? And then we can look out for opportunities to partner and collaborate that will enable us to, to move ahead to achieve our goals. So I use this. I would like to point you to this graphic, which is below here. And I picked this as an example from a dairy value chain to show you what I am calling the different segments within an industry or within a value chain. Perhaps there is somebody, one of the participants here in this forum may already be participating in this industry, the dairy industry. And basically, any business could be organized in one form or the other in this way. There are people who are at the production level, others are transporting, others will be warehousing, others are packing, there are others at the retail or wholesale end, there are others who are providing services along the pipeline, for example, finance, insurance, IT services, and consulting, and other types of things. So when I ask the question, where are you located presently? Because profitability or performance of your business depends on where you are allocated along this chain. Everybody who is a player in this dairy value chain has a different experience. For example, the producer of milk today is selling a liter at about 35 or 40 shillings at the farm level. But when it is at the end, at the retail or wholesale point, it is selling at maybe 100 shillings if it is still fresh milk. If it is processed into yogurt, it will probably be 200 shillings per liter. Now, the value that is added or gained along this chain is not shared equally along the participants. So some people are occupying more lucrative or profitable positions in this chain. So when we are assessing how do we improve our position, even if you are, as I've said, if you are already at the most lucrative, you've got to ask yourself, okay, how long can I hold on to this position? Am I really competitive? And then, because there will be others who want to come and occupy that place, you can look out for partnerships or collaborations that help to bolster and anchor your position more firmly. If you are not at the best position, you'll probably be looking out for an opportunity to move, to extend your reach to a better position in the chain, because that's what businesses are for. Or alternatively, you might even be, you are in the dairy chain, but there are other value chains or industries that are more profitable. They have better prospects. I have just given an example. For example, you might be looking to expand into the leather processing industry. It's still in the same because you're in the livestock sector, but leather processing certainly creates much larger value compared to what you could be doing with these other commodities like dairy or grains. And in fact, I dare say one other area is partnerships can even enable you to expand. You don't exit the industry you're in, but you are able to move into even more industries, either related, like in this slide I'm showing here. If you look at the top, you have the horticulture, food processing, and catering. These are more or less related because they are dealing with food, but they are really different types of businesses. So you can expand. There is a possibility to expand into these different lines of businesses through collaborations and partnerships, or you can even diversify the arrow facing down. That is a vertical, and just to link to other areas which may not necessarily be related anything to with horticulture. You can still retain a footprint in horticulture or food industry, but you also start venturing into technology, into construction, into textiles, maybe into pharmaceuticals or education or other sectors. And really, partnerships should be about enabling, partly about, and to a very significant extent, about enabling us to extend our reach to new areas of business. So some of the benefits of collaborations, and I would like us to refer to this again. It's a rather simple graphic which appears on the right side of the slide, again showing how different activities are organized within a simple a chain in a business. There may be variations, but basically you find these kinds of activities. So if you are, because it's very important to also visualize our positioning within an ecosystem where there are other actors. There are other actors, there are other people, organizations with other roles, and we need to work with them as we grow our businesses, not only for the good of our business, but for the good of the industry where we are in, because we are stakeholders in that industry. So collaborations will not only enable, accelerate business growth, but they can help to improve access to resources that are necessary for business. For example, finance, information, mentorship, expertise, and skills. There are people who know things who are located somewhere along this chain, maybe downstream or upstream, but once you are working and collaborating with others, you're able to access those resources, mitigating potential market failures because you are not isolated. If the industry you are in is not doing well, as a whole, you cannot do well individually or as a single business. It is therefore very, very important to work with others, collaborate with others to forestall or prevent market failures that could occur anytime. There are some business risks that are better shared when spread. Improving governance, because when you're working with people in these chains, there are many issues that come about. Some want to dominate others. There are some who are making rules. They don't want to comply. But when you are working in collaborations, it is easier to discuss and address governance issues that will come up. And of course, you can access more trade opportunities locally and even internationally, for example, through referrals. So there are many obstacles that arise in the course of business, and they are better navigated when working with others. A very important point, in particular for women, is to their entry into key decision-making organs within the industry or the sectors they are in. And that collaboration enables that, and it's very important. Together, working with others, it is possible to push for favorable policies and enabling environment, something that develops a good ecosystem for business. I highlight here in this slide some 3 areas where trust emerges as a very important issue in business. One is international trade. And really, it's not just international trade because locally, where you are not operating in the same space with your trade partners. You are separated, you're not facing each other every day. It's very important that you are able to trust each other. If you are trading with someone who is in another country, you need to know, will everything work the way we have said it should work? Is there a judicial system that will help us to sort out these issues. And even if on paper it is documented to be in place, you still need to trust that things will work. You won't end up going to court. Are rules enforced fairly and quickly? Because you are not certain of these things, trust becomes very important. The issue of quality standards is also very critical. And perhaps some of you already have had this experience. We have in this country and largely developing countries, challenges with technical skills in terms of, for example, when we are manufacturing things, there are deficiencies that quite often lead to deficits in quality standards. The inputs or raw materials that are being used to prepare goods, some of them, it's not that we don't want to produce good quality goods, it's the inputs. Weak enforcement. We know that some of the goods we have, even though they bear the quality label, but the truth of the matter is they could be deficient. It is very, very important as people in business that trust be the founding, it be the underpinning factor in enforcing, because people cannot be testing every aspect of a good you send to them. Trust needs to be found. The other one I want to highlight, and these are not exhaustive, just examples, payment systems. When you send goods to somebody, you sit in faith that actually you're going to be paid. When somebody said goods to you, they sit in knowledge that they will be paid. There has to be, these are based and built on trust. There has to be something which is tested and proven. Is it a reliable system? Is it efficient? Is it timely? If these things, these examples of things that need to be observed to ensure that business continues to thrive and is sustained. When people trust you, there are really many benefits that come by. For example, people will provide you with insights, things you might not have known. They don't trust you. Foresight, what is going to be happening in the months or in the next years to come. Intelligence, what is called business intelligence. And I'm sure you probably operate different ways of gaining knowledge about what your competitors or people in other industries and your industry are doing. You know, when you are trusted, I've just said, when people trust that your goods are of good quality, they are subjected to less checks. Less checks mean less expenses, and that's a good thing. So they are alerts. People will let you into knowledge on things that you otherwise wouldn't know. Now, when you go out to pursue or check out for collaborations, or when people come to you and they are assessing whether they can collaborate with you, there are some things they want to very quickly pick about you. Do you have a vision of where you want your business to be heading? Do you have an ambition? Because nobody wants to work with you and then your business dies even before it has taken off. Nobody wants to come and kill their business alongside yours. Do you have a conviction? Are you courageous? Because, and true, I know you have this experience, business is not for cowards. You need courage, you need to be bold and to move on. Flexibility in terms of being willing and sensitive to change. Do you know things about your industry and others? Because you can't operate in ignorance. Listening, are you resilient? For example, now there are many challenges that are facing business, and people want to know, do you wither and collapse at the first challenge? And what sacrifices are you willing to make? A very important thing is whether your business has systems in place to enable operationalization of collaborations. Some challenges here that businesses face in developing partnerships. One, and a major one, is a mindset issue. Because what I have come to find in my experience these years that I have worked with many organizations, there seems to be a hesitation about the value or the benefit of partnerships. And even where partnerships are accepted and valued, there is a question of who should we really partnership. Institute or organizations and businesses tend to look out for where there is parity. We are a big business, we will partner with a big business, sometimes looking down upon smaller ones that are coming up. And these quite often, or in some cases, they turn out to be very strong enterprises in the future. There's a fear of the unknown. There's a hesitation to commit because you're not sure how the future will look like. There's also the issue of businesses not being the same. And indeed, business is not parity. Businesses are all different in very many aspects, and that is accepted. We still do not have a very well-developed partnerships culture. Sometimes we go through convolutions, and, many turns back and forth before even you can structure an MOU, because we are not used to developing these and executing them. Sometimes there are historical issues. You've had a bad experience in the past, and it haunts you and can hold you back. In some cases, partnerships are initiated, but momentum is lost just as soon before something great has been achieved. And I have seen some cases where I would call it a truncated partnership. You get into an engagement between 2 or 3 organizations, and you close out opportunity for others to join. So you terminate there, you're not leaving room for growth or for others to join. And of course, because of the uncertainties that come, there can be very heavy transaction costs, and some organizations have challenges of accountability and governance. Of course, some are just complex. The simpler a collaboration can be, I do think, and I believe the easier it can be to manage it. Lack of a strategy can be a killer. You need a plan and a strategy. Being informal, doing things without formality, it is not a good thing. Disorder, inefficiency, and quite often reputational issues arise. There are some organizations that will not give full disclosure of the issues that are in play in their businesses. There is breach of confidentiality. Some organizations want to take advantage of these collaborations, and in some cases I've even seen where a collaboration could lead to exposure to legal risks here. So as I come to an end, I just picked 1 or 2 examples to highlight some unique partnerships, things that go out of the ordinary but can also contribute to business growth. For example, here a well-known college, Vera Beauty College, partners with a very unlikely agency, the prisons, to organize Langata Beauty Pageant. And if you look at the history of this event, it has created very good publicity for this college, and certainly, I would say, gained them some good clientele. Here is because partnership doesn't necessarily mean you are not in the same line of business. You can be in the same line of business, but you partner for some good, something that brings benefit to the 2 of you. Here is an example of 2 of the large fast food industries in the world collaborating to do some good. One day, one of these businesses, Burger King, suspended selling the large burgers so that McDonald's could sell theirs and donate more to a charity event. And at the end of the day, this is received very well by clientele, and it is favorable. Sometimes it is you yourself, you can partner with an individual or you are as a business. And here is a case, for example, Adidas. Adidas is very well known in the fashion industry, and collaborating or partnering with someone in the entertainment industry to create a product and bring it to the market, leading to good business growth for the 2 of them. Here are just about the last 2 slides. Some of the things when you're looking out for these opportunities to collaborate, because it is quite clear there are many benefits to be derived from collaborations. What do we do first? One is to have a collaborative mindset. We need to unlock something in our minds, in our thinking, and our approach to whether to collaborate or not. A positive mindset, it is a good thing. It will bring us benefits. We cannot sit and wait for collaborations to happen. We've got to make them happen. One is we can initiate them, or we can respond to others who approach us for collaboration. A good starting point, as I already shown you, using that chain of the different actors who are related in your industry or you're working together, you can map and know who are the potential partners, depending on where you are located in your industry, or if you're looking to cross to other industries. Look around and map and identify potential partners. And to know them is to know many things about them. Where are their strengths? What are their capacities? What do they want to achieve? That together, you can join them and bring it to bear fruit. then you need to develop an engagement strategy, which is customized to the target. The way you approach a financial institution is not the same way you approach a supermarket, for example, or a manufacturer. Then you have to figure out, how do you initiate contact? If you're going to take the first step, either you write or you visit them or you call them or do something to initiate that contact. There's a very important act of being present in forums where collaborations or partnerships can be triggered or fostered or initiated, where the spark happens. And when you are there, have some tools ready, a business card, something that talks about your business, the key statistics package, the key information about your business, where are you, and reflect your vision. Where do you see yourself growing? Do some statistics, analyze, have a graph here showing your growth, show your capabilities, the kind of expertise, the human resource that you have, the facilities, talk about something briefly so that people will see, okay, you are an attractive, you are a potential partner in this. Being noticeable. You need to attract and sustain attention. It's something called strategic positioning. Show your capacity, your interest, ambition. And when you're going to seek out partnerships, it is very important, aim to be complementing, not to compete with those that you want to work with. So if you have been approached for a collaboration, because certainly if you are attractive, others will also check you out. Check convergence of interest. Are your interests aligned to those the ones of those who are approaching you? What are the benefits versus the risks? Do a background check. Look for a referral, somebody who has worked with that person or that organization, then respond promptly. Don't keep someone waiting, and round and around. And if you're positive, offer something in return that adds value to the proposal. You need to calibrate your response so that you highlight your strengths. And because every organization, every business has gaps and weaknesses, how do you don't want to be untruthful about your gaps or weaknesses, but it's something called strategic ambiguity. Strategic ambiguity is, it's something, you're not lying, but you're also covering or masking where you are not strong and projecting your greatest strength. Once you have entered into a partnership, consolidate your place through performance. Prove that people are not wrong to accept you in their partnership. Finally, once you get into these partnerships or collaborations, and we talked about informality, they should not be informal. It cannot be assumed that a collaboration or a partnership will be it can't fly on its own. It needs to be managed carefully. There are several tools that can be put to bear for managing these. MOUs, an MOA, an agreement, some form of document that you write up and agree. This is what we are going to be doing. This is how we shall share, whatever benefits or issues that benefits that come our way. And then in your different organizations, if it is this company, the other company, designate contact persons that for the purpose of this collaboration, this will be the reference person. Ensure that person has the right skills. Don't just designate a person in your the salesperson or the marketing person in your organization, or maybe the accountant. Maybe they don't know how to manage a partnership very well. So figure out the person you have assigned to that role. Do they have the right skills? Are they also well facilitated to manage it? For example, do they have the right equipment, if it is airtime to call or a vehicle to go and attend a meeting? Are they facilitated? It's also good you ensure your own organizational policies enable, they are aligned to enable that kind of a collaboration that you want to enter into, so that you don't start something and then your board will come and say, no, we shouldn't have gone into that. Of course, ensure the reputation management issues are addressed, so that if there is a risk to your reputation, how do you manage that one? Are you going to be admitting other people to that partnership? If things are not working, how will you exit or disengage? At the end of whatever period you agree to work together, is there an exit clause? Those are things that need to be well and carefully considered. and then everything should hopefully work out well. Let me end by saying, you have a good idea in your business. Potential partners have good ideas. When you come together, you create a better idea that will always win. Finally, it is just to say that trust is really important in growing our businesses. And once it is broken, it can be really difficult to repair. That is the last slide, and I want to thank you very much for your attention. Thank you.
Thank you so very much, Professor. Thank you so very, very much. This morning we have received great insights, really very great insights. And what I have obtained or what I have gained from that conversation, I wish we had more time for Prof, is that we use collaborations, we use partnerships for different reasons. Professor, we have set out our first poll and we were asking if our businesses are ready for collaborations and for partnerships. When you look at the answers, we are yet to get the reasons why we are ready and the reasons why we are not ready. But from your conversation, it is really very clear. As John Rockefeller says, businesses that are founded on friendship are not as strong as friendships that are founded on business. I don't know, that businesses that are founded on friendship are much less stronger than the friendships that are founded on business. And perhaps during this conversation, we will get to understand that phrase. I also want to quote the Mother Teresa, who says that I can do things that you cannot do, but you can also do things that I cannot do. But together we can do great things. I think that is the essence of collaborations. You have taken us through what collaborations are, what we need to get into strong collaborations, what are the benefits of collaborations, and some challenges of collaborations. And I'm seeing Grace Njoki asking, are investors classified as collaborators or partners? Perhaps, Professor, you can help us to understand that as we prepare to invite George to add on to this conversation. Professor, are investors classified as collaborators and partners?
Yes, thank you very much, Rosemary, and also the participants for the questions. I've also seen a couple of other comments, but on that one, my very strong belief is that investors, yes, we need to see them as partners in our businesses. They are stakeholders in the well-being of our businesses. It is therefore, and we are also due-able to go out and look for them. Either they will come and see opportunity in our businesses and they will approach us for partnerships or collaborations or whatever form that we can call that thing they want to do with us. And if they are not coming, we need to go out and look out for them. So in that case, I very strongly see that they qualify to fall in that category of partners, stakeholders in our businesses. Yes, so in brief, that's it. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Professor. We have more time for questions. I'm sure they'll be coming. And George, as you prepare to come on, the first question we had asked was, is my business ready for partnerships and collaborations? And I see 81%. Kennedy, if you could put up the results of the poll, so that even as George is speaking, then he'll be able to pick that. Are we able to see the results of the poll? There we are, that 81% of our businesses are ready for partnerships and collaboration, and 19% are not ready. Perhaps before we leave this session today, we'll have obtained reasons why some businesses are not ready for collaboration and why a good number of them are ready for collaboration. Thank you very much, our dear participants. Mr. George Okioma, following on that conversation from Professor, let's get your views on that topic. Karibu, George. George is the Director, Operations and Marketing, CPF Group. I'll be telling you who CPF Group is very soon. Karibu, George.
Thank you, Rosemary. Thank you, team, the participants. Thank you, Professor. Just to pick up from the discussion, which is really very, very enlightening, looking at the comment from the participants, I just want to add in just a few of my thoughts around it, just to reinforce the message of collaboration in this era. You know, what Prof mentioned, especially on the aspects of when you are assessing your potential partnerships, what you need to identify, particularly at what stage of the value chain of any business would you want to get in. It is very critical, and I'm sure most of us who are in business are playing at a particular stage of the value chain. But then a big question is arising from the poll that you have and that we've just taken, that 81% of the respondents are confident that their businesses are at a level of collaboration. There's one aspect I would wish that we take into account, especially when it comes to trust, how you will be able to establish the trust in any relationship. You realize in this era, we are living in a global village, and most of these relationships, the new relationships, are actually virtual. That calls in a lot, in especially how would you want to engage. And I'm just speaking from what was in the a clip of the news from yesterday's sports news, where our new champion in tennis, the good lady Angela Optoi, when she was asked, how did you get your mate whom you were playing with? And, you know, she mentioned that she just found her playmate on Instagram. She just posted that she was looking for a partner, and she got a few guys, and based on the profile of what she was looking, she was able to get a partner whom this person just met on Instagram. So you can imagine. And just like that, she was able to get a partner whom she was able to collaborate with, and they won. Now, that's a big lesson, that these relationships are virtual, but then how do we make sure that we identify the correct people that we're looking forward to collaborate with? So that comes in, a biggest question is, how well do you know the cultural knowledge of your collaborator? The cultural knowledge of your collaborator is very key, because sometimes when we are working, our habits basically tend to influence a lot, especially in terms of communication, even when we have the best of intentions. And sometimes how we work, our habits, how we communicate can actually hinder the collaboration which we're looking at. And therefore, then it calls in that we really need to invest more. If we are to build this trust with our collaborators, we need to have a better understanding, especially from a cultural perspective, that you understand the culture, you invest in knowing the cultural knowledge of your collaborator. How do they like to communicate? The way we like communicating is different from maybe the way other guys like to communicate. Some people, if you want to collaborate with people, for example, out of the country, how a particular country, you know, if you understand their culture, for example, how they communicate, there are people who are very well in email communication. There are people who are very comfortable in verbal communication. If then you don't understand this, you realize that this will be a big hindrance to actually getting through in terms of communication, or getting through a good collaboration arrangement that could come in place. And therefore, then the aspect of technology will also come in. How best are we investing in these systems? Prof mentioned the aspect of the trust critical domains, that is payment systems, quality standards, international trade. international trade is very key, and you're relying on the existing social media platforms or ICT platforms that are in place to enhance business. Therefore, then, as you know, a business woman in this era who would want to then, of course, go places and look at how to expand the business, go global. How best can you position your business around these trust critical domains which were mentioned? If then you don't trust a payment system, which one are you putting your business forward to? And therefore, if both parties are able to agree this is the particular payment system we are in, that is one level of trust you're actually building. But still, things like, once you dedicate, in my view, more time to understanding your collaborator, to your partner whom you're working with, you dedicate time to understand the intercultural teams, which are based on a number of dimensions like competency, compatibility, integrity, the aspect of openness with information. How open are you to sharing this information? I see institutions coming in and say the first thing we want to do is to sign an NDA, a non-disclosure agreement. But then that is just the first step. But then, do you adhere to the NDA? Are you able to share information willingly and openly? The aspect of how accessible that information is, and the aspect of reciprocity. And therefore, then, if we invest in understanding our collaborators in that respect, knowing how they react, you also react, and how you perceive information, that will be one of the greatest barriers, I'm sure, we will have been able to overcome in a bid to really increase our understanding of this bit of collaboration and trust. And I hope Rosemary, I've added value to that bit. I would want to stop it there. Thank you.
Thank you very much, George. Thank you so very much. The concept or the idea of understanding the cultural background of the people that you are interacting with. Many years ago, there was this conversation about a company that was going to set up in Japan. And they went to set up in Japan. I think we all do remember when was it Unilever, when they were introducing geisha soap in the market. And there was a big conversation about whether geisha would sell in Japan, given the brand name geisha. So it so happened that in Japan, the soap could not sell as geisha. Reason being, geisha means something else in Japanese. Geisha means a word that perhaps we may not be able to pronounce this morning, especially because it is still very bright. So it is critical, George, thank you very much, that we understand who we are dealing with. How do we ensure that we remain alive to their cultural do's and don'ts so that we can meet the needs of both parties? Thank you so very much, George, for your input. Good participants, we truly believe that we are still on track in meeting your expectations for this webinar. Let us leave this room later on in the day, having obtained something that will lead us into partnerships that will lead us to growth, partnerships that will lead us to, I like something Professor said, something about getting into segments that ordinarily we wouldn't think would go there on our own. And so, having said that, having listened to Professor, having listened to Mr. George Okioma, I want to invite Madam Mary Muthoni, the President, Women in Business, for her comments. Karibu sana, Mary, the President.
Good morning, everybody. And a minute. Yes, much better now. Good morning, everybody. And I think this is one of the most exciting presentation that I've ever gotten into. Mr. Mwangi, you're amazing. Really, really great insights. And I feel much better. And I'm looking back and checking on my business. Am I ready for collaborations and partnerships? Because that is the way to go, even globally. When we look at SDG 17 that talks about partnerships, it's the high time we embraced that. And as women, we have a task to do, because there are many things that tie us to ensuring that we are in a partnership and ensuring that it is a mutual benefit. One, and going by what I have learned, is in a partnership, you must always collaborate from within. Sometimes you don't need to go really far so that you can get a partner. Somebody just posted on IG and got a partner, really. So from within the network of the women in business, you could be having partners, or you could be having people who are willing to partner with you. But because you have never asked them, they may not have the opportunity to tell you that I'm also looking for a partner. So look from within the networks that we have and try and get a partner. The other thing that I have learned very, very critical is we must never lose the focus of the bigger picture. As long as you share, you have a vision, you have a mission, you must stick to that. Don't get a partner who pulls you now into her issues or her business, and you desert your own business because you have seen something else like may bring you more money. Never lose focus. Stick to your guns and ensure that you still hold the bigger picture. And of course, collaboration and partnerships, they really add credibility to ourselves. I remember during COVID, and we were having this very big partnership with, somebody wants me to answer a question, with Bidco Africa. And I remember at one time, somebody went on Twitter and asked, tagged Bidco, tagged Vimal, tagged anybody they would they would imagine knows Bidco, and ask them, is this true? Are you running this? And because they came to the fore and said, yes, it added credibility to the partnership that we were holding. So again, it is very important to note that when you go for partnerships and collaborations, they add credibility to your work. And of course, finally, ensure that you make your partnership, the partnerships to mutually be beneficial. It is a partnership. So we are 50-50 sometimes, or 40-60, 60-40. But are you benefiting? You could be having the 70 and you're not benefiting at all. So it's for our mutual benefits. Ensure that anything that you get into, it is benefiting you as a person, and it is making your business bigger and better. Change the dialogue about assertiveness. Don't think when you go for partnerships, people will say, oh, you're too aggressive, you know, or you're too ambitious. It is up to you. As long as you are benefiting from this partnership, it is very, very important that you think through on what really works for you. This will also help us celebrate the women wins. When a woman partners and their businesses grow, we celebrate your win. Remember, according to data and what Mr. Mwangi has read, there are those specific categories that you will almost think that this one is for the women, and we must have more women in this. But at the end of the day, if you can start that which is in your heart and partner and grow it, we are going to be there to celebrate you. It also will help you in developing to be a mentor. You can also be a mentee, a mentor-mentee relationship, because when you get a partner, sometimes a partner is above you in capability. It doesn't just really mean it's only financial. It could be in skill base. So again, take advantage of that and ensure that you really benefit from it. So ladies and gentlemen, I'm sure there are a few good men who always attend our forums. It is really amazing to see you today. And Rosemary, I was not the speaker, I was a listener today. It is an amazing day. I am happy to have joined this today. And I pray that each one of you has benefited from this. And to really make a call to action, ensure you're a member of Women in Business. We are partners with CPF, and CPF and ourselves are taking this to a higher notch. We are doing trainings together. We are ensuring that the women in business are benefiting from these trainings. And also those who are in the board, we are ensuring that we have programs up to and including across the country and also outside the country. I'm sure Rosemary is going to touch on this or is going to send us information which we are going to share with you in real time. Thank you very much. And remember to sign up to our product, which is a collaboration between Women in Business Kenya and CPF, the Ladybug, always. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Madam President. Already partnerships and collaborations at work. We really are excited that we got into this relationship with Women in Business, and for mutual benefit, as Madam President said, mutual benefit of the two parties. You must ensure that you're gaining something. You have an idea, I have an idea. When we share those ideas, we both have two ideas. If I remain with mine and you remain with yours, each one of us remains with one idea each. But if we share those ideas, then we have two ideas each. We got into this collaboration with Women in Business, and so far it is working for us, and we intend to continue enhancing that collaboration. So good people from this conversation, Madam President has mentioned something about mutual collaboration and something really very, very big. Something really very, very big regarding why you should never lose your goal. Never lose your goal. My Bible, sorry for those that are Christians, my Bible says, do two people work together until they agree? You know, unless they have agreed, they cannot work together. So it means that for us to get into these collaborations, we seek points of congruence. Where is it that we can assist each other? Thank you very much, Madam President, for bringing out that. Something else that you brought out is about confidence. Am I confident in my business? Am I confident? How do I position myself? And I think it came out so clearly, especially considering that people buy you before they buy what you're selling. So how do I present myself? Am I confident in what I am selling? Is it something that I can give to investors? Is it something that is attractive to possible collaborators, people who can collaborate with me in order to in order to grow that business and in order for them to gain perhaps the market, gain access into the areas where I play. Thank you so very, very much, our speakers. We truly thank you. We now want to look at our next poll. We had asked a question, and our question was about what stands between us and the collaborations. Like I said earlier, 81% of our participants said their businesses are ready for collaborations. So 19% indicated that we are not ready for collaborations. And our question was, what is preventing our business from getting into partnerships or from being ready for partnerships and collaborations? Ken, do we have the answers ready, even as we prepare ourselves for question and answers? Ken? We are not able to see the answers, the words, but I have seen a question, an answer from Renjing. Renjing is joining us from China. You're welcome. In Kenya here, we say karibu, meaning you're welcome. And Renjing says that the one thing that people must be careful about is that collaborations happen gradually. I am sure that Professor will be telling us, even as we go through the questions, what we can do in order to become ready for collaborations, in order to be ready for collaborations. And so, okay, here we are. If we could expand that, I am seeing from this poll, someone says that my business is very young. Thank you very much, Ken. My business is very young. Somebody else says that lack of proper strategies, Professor. Then somebody else says not really knowing how to go about it. Somebody else has said that the main reason is many businesses essentially have no history of success, and sometimes they are not formally set up in a way that clearly outlines their mandate or the problems they are solving. That's a good one, very, very good one. We are in strategy, we can pick up that conversation. Somebody else talked about trust issues. We have a participant who is talking about lack of investors. Someone has really no reason why they are not ready, but they know they are not ready. Another participant says that we cannot find credible partners that will add value to our business. We are also looking for a certain skill set that these partners should bring to the table. That's a critical one for us. Professor, I think you'll be able to pick up that. Somebody else talked about strategy. I'm not sure whether they meant the lack of it. I'm not sure whether it's the lack of it or it's the strategy that is weak. I'm not exactly sure. And somebody else says that most of the time there is skepticism and fear of losing control of the business, fear of losing control. Prof, please, 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 I beg that we look at that fear of losing control and feeling that this is my idea, something that Professor already brought out. Other times it is because of past bad experiences, and this holds back a person, and also the fear of the copycat syndrome, feeling that if I talk about it, the idea will be stolen. Great reasons there that we'll be discussing even as we continue. I'll be reading others that I'm seeing on the poll. Thank you very much, Ken. So our panelists, those are some of the conversations that we have had from our participants. Perhaps even before we pick the questions on the chat, Professor George and Mary help us to answer some of those items that our participants have listed as hindrances to collaborations. Professor, please.
Okay, thank you, Rosemary, and again the participants for the questions. These are really good and they are valid issues, and certainly it is a testimony to the weight of the issues that are being discussed here. And everyone goes to business to succeed, so it is really important that whatever one commits to in terms of collaborations or partnerships should be contributing or moving the business forward in that direction. That's very, very important. So let me just pick some points here. It is true what has been said that collaborations and partnerships need to grow gradually. There is indeed a pathway to growth, how one gets into it, because my experience is that the earlier one, the first one or the second one a business gets into can be a challenge to navigate, and even how do you structure it? And even the tools, developing the tools to manage it, what we were saying, the agreements or the contracts that you sign, or whatever it is that you form to help you manage that. But once you have already developed one, and I'll tell you, and being a small business, because I think I've picked one of the comment is, sometimes the business is just forming, it is nascent, and there is apprehension, it's a young business, the capacity is small. That should not hold you back. My experience, it is that every business has a story. As soon as the business is formed and you are achieving some small success, as long as that is well documented and curated, so that it can form the evidence of you're really there, you are doing something. The moment you already have a collaboration or a partnership with anyone, it contributes to building the story, and it is part of what you'll be using in telling it to the next person as you expand your networks. This is very important. But I see that here, and this is not a uniquely Kenyan issue. I think it is, maybe, can I say African? We don't know how to tell our story well. We don't know. I wish I knew who the people represented in this forum are. And then we go and search out information about your businesses. Whether we check it on websites or wherever it is that you talk about your business, it will amaze you. Many of us are not able to tell our story well. I am also a victim of that. There are many things our businesses have done, small successes that built and packaged together would tell a great story that will usher us into the next level. So I would say, yes, it is a slow growth, but let us also start documenting the successes that we have. In terms of finding credible partners, okay, it could be that this is a unique industry. It could take time to search. What my very strong belief is, there are all kinds of organizations that we need, because we also need to identify, and then part of getting our businesses ready for partnership is to identify the gap. Why do you need a partner or a collaborator? To do what with? You need to say, I have capacity in 1, 2. I need a partner with capacity in 3, 4, so that you don't have the same capacities, or the things you're able to do is what your partner is coming to do. You need to complement each other. It is best, it functions best when there is complementarity. You're complementing each other. Whatever resources or capacities you are bringing on board are complementary. That is the best. So one way of getting your business ready, putting it ready for collaborations, identify the gap. Where do you need a partner to come and do what? That's very, very important. And then you use that as a lead now to start mapping. Remember, I use the word mapping. When you are looking around in the physical space, if, for example, your business is located in Nairobi, maybe you want to check around Nairobi or in Kenya, or in the digital space. It has been said a lot of what we are doing today is happening in the digital space. So we start scouting us within the digital environment, locally, globally, everywhere, to identify potential partners, having already determined where do we want them to fit, in the scheme of what we are doing in our business. The other thing is putting in place systems. As I said, we need, and we have to move this. I don't know whether the statistic I read is correct, that almost 85% of businesses, even those that are being done by women, are informal in terms of legal registration, formality. It's not existing, they're informal. But partners, ones you're going to be looking out for, want to find a business which at least has some basic systems in place. You are legally registered. You have some way of tracking your expenditure, your income, of processing things. There's some system in place. It's very, very important. And of course, the other thing is there's an issue about strategy. And this question was asked, when does a business need to have a strategy in place? I do business also, maybe not in the same scale like some participants here. I think it is very important that a business is founded on strategy. You need to have a strategy in some form or the other. But let me say what I have found to be greater, I think it is greater, is the ability to flex or adjust your strategy as circumstances are changing. I see some businesses or organizations have maybe 3-year or 5-year strategy. But within that period, circumstances can change so significantly and so severely. If you remain, you're so static, you are not changing and circumstances are changing, your business can be consumed. I think for me, a very important thing is have a strategy, but also have an inbuilt mechanism to rework, to refine, reorient that strategy, to flex it so that it is not a solid thing to change as the circumstances are changing. I think the issue of skepticism, the fear of losing control, or even intellectual theft, these are valid points. I would say, first of all, if your business is developed from an intellectual property, let's say is an idea that is so original, and it is the one that is forming the foundation of what you are doing, it should be legally protected. There is an organization, the Intellectual Property Institute in Kenya, KIPI, and the Copyright Board, where you need to go and make sure your idea is protected before you then open up. And even if you're not going into partnership or collaboration, ensure your intellectual property is secured and protected, and more so before you open up to others. But one of the other things about managing intellectual property or to prevent this intellectual theft is how you structure your agreements for collaboration. You need to very categorically state what was your intellectual property remains your intellectual property. The other partner came with theirs and it will remain theirs. But if you create something together, then you have to agree, how will you share, the thing that is created, so that we are not held back by the fear of something might happen. Because, and I think it is, there was a very good point which was made about hesitation that made a partner. And then we also need to ask ourselves, when we are hesitant but meet a partner and we secure businesses, might we be missing out, on great growth that could arise or come from these collaborations? So there are means, there are mechanisms to secure where the success that we have achieved ourselves or on our own and our businesses, and build on that as we go into partnerships and collaborations. So I do, that's my submission. Let me pause for now. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Professor. And I truly hope that participants, we are getting the nuggets that we were looking out for. Your comments on that conversation, especially the matters that were raised by our participants regarding the reasons why we are not feeling ready for partnerships. Mr. George Okioma, please. Mr. Okioma, while we wait for George, okay, yes.
Thank you. Perhaps one more thing I would want to add is on the bit of really trying to understand the critical reasons why these collaborations are important and why people need to collaborate. Of course, just to reinforce what has already been said is ideally when you collaborate, when you start your business, initially you are alone, but then as the business grows, you find that you are really spreading yourself thin, and therefore you need to onboard a partner, to try and see what are the other opportunities, what you would call double innovations and ideas. When you are many, then the chances of you getting into new ideas is high. You are able to increase your brand, a bit of brand awareness. There is a bit of increased freedom, which could come through, for example, the risk of the business failing when you are alone is high than when you are, when you have a collaborator. The aspect of shared experiences, which when you're alone, that you would not be able to have what an opportunity to. So there's a very strong case for collaboration, and I think it's highly encouraged that at some level, when you feel that actually the business needs a rethink, it is good to consider going into collaboration. But then the fears, of course, which have been raised in the chat in terms of what would happen to the fear for the unknown. It is high time we invested in what we would call social skills, and we are different in terms of how we are as human beings. Some people are introverts, some are extroverts, and therefore they are likely to hold down depending on your behavior. But then remember, these social skills is now what is being the real thing, even in management level, in leadership. These are the skills which are required. Are you able to work with people? Are you able to manage people in terms of who are from very diverse backgrounds? So social collaboration is really on the rise among entrepreneurs, and it's the reason why then entrepreneurs can no longer operate, as a one-man show or a one-woman show. And therefore, to build that audience and grow the business, you really need to then invest in the social skills. And these social skills, my friends, these are the skills which we cultivate these skills, we can grow them, and we can learn them. And it will be the best thing that we'll have done for our businesses. And therefore, then I would really encourage that we also look at the bit of the social collaboration. Thank you, Rosemary.
Thank you very much, Mr. Okioma. We are progressing very well. I see comments here. Rukia Idaruz is telling us that culture eats strategy for breakfast. And yes, I do agree with you, Rukia. Culture eats strategy for breakfast, operational excellence for lunch, and everything else for dinner. And so an organization with the wrong culture or poor culture, weak culture, then is not able to achieve its goals. Thank you very much, our participants and our panelists. Mary, based on the conversation arising from the poll, would you like to add a word or two? Madam President, the reasons why we are not ready for partnerships, past experiences, and so on?
I think women mostly are very skeptical, and there's equally a lot of stereotyping when it comes to female businesses. And that really pulls the woman down to a point that you don't feel confident enough to go for partnerships. Again, there's lack of information. Remember, women work in social circles. Like today, I am sure we are energized 100%, if not 99%, if not 100%, because women work best in social circles. How best do we channel the information on collaboration and partnerships to the women? It requires a lot to go to groupings, maybe during our Women in Business meetings, that can allow us to share experiences. Sometimes when women fail, they are also not able to go back to where they come from. They prefer to move in a different direction. So you find that when a business fails, if you have started a business in a certain sector, instead of looking for collaborations, and when you fail, you decide to start a different business, all the same, which takes you back to square zero. And basically this also comes through because of a lack of skill, lack of information, and a lack of credible partners. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Madam President, that we are generally skeptical. And perhaps sometimes the matter that we discussed earlier on, the matter of confidence. Am I really able to do this? Can I really hack this? You know, things that we need to work on. So we still welcome you to continue.
Sorry, let me mention something. And we have moved from challenges to solution-based approaches, because we don't want every other time, Rosemary, when we come here, we are talking about what are the challenges, and these challenges never end. For instance, in the Women in Business, we have started peer-to-peer board. We are introducing that program to ensure that you who has a company, do you have a board? Do you even know what a board is supposed to, how a board is supposed to help you? Because these are the people who can help you make decisions. If you fear to move forward, then the board is going to help you to make some decisions using the skill base in that board. So the peer-to-peer board is going to also help and push to a solution-based place whereby the women can gain confidence, because somebody else can also stand in for you and tell you, yes, you're moving in the right direction.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Peer-to-peer board, holding each other's hands. Holding each other's hands. Thank you, Madam President. Yeah. Did I cut you short? All right then. I think I hear that, and it's encouraging that we move from problems or challenges to solutions, seeking solutions. And I think we really are on the right track. I see Rose Omango and Mary Mudangia's hands are up. If you could post your concerns on the chat, your concerns or your comments or your questions on the chat so that we can have them answered. Alice is saying that she would like Professor to listen to her story so she can get to know whether she's actually giving the proper or the right story. So we'll be sharing Professor's contact. I'm sure Professor would like to interact with all of you. So we shall share Professor's contacts, and then you'll be able to speak with him. Any other concerns? Mary Mudangia, Rose Omango, if you could share your questions, then we can have them discussed. We'll be able to do that. So meanwhile, as we do so, we can receive final comments from Professor, Mr. George Okioma, and then finally, Madam Mary, in that order. We have just about 22 minutes to the hour. So Professor, your final comments?
Thank you very much, Rosemary. Again, I thank you, and I thank all the participants and my panel colleagues. I do see that this was a useful event forum. The topic was important, and there are of course many issues coming up that would be well worth following up on. And obviously, seeing from the interest which is already expressed here, the issue of partnership and collaborations is key to the different businesses that are being done by the members of the Women in Business Network and what you are doing at CPF and others. So I would end up just by to just highlight some of what has been said by my colleagues, because there are some statements which were added, you know, and I find that they help to sharpen us. The issue which George commented on culture, understanding the people and organizations that we interact with, how they do things. It's not only even in other countries, even here in Kenya, different communities have different ways of dealing with issues. How do people structure and interpret codes of honor? What's a code of honor for for some people, you don't have to write a document. And I don't know, because it seems that there are some stories that go around. There are some communities that move large amounts of money in their businesses without having any written agreement anywhere. And everyone is trusted that things will work out. There are other countries where really a commitment to keep your word, the way that is expected is very different. It is, I did think that one very, very important. The determination, what is universal in building trust, the determination to make good our word. Once we keep a promise in whatever form or shape, when we are determined to honor the word that we made, it will be seen. It will be seen because it is as clear as day and night. Even if you fail, because for circumstances beyond your control, you can fail to fulfill your commitment, having made the best effort. But what do you do about it? What do you do about it? What effort is seen that you are really trying to make good your word? One of the things which was said, and I think it is very good, because there is so many ways in which things can be done, even in an issue like choosing a payment platform or a payment method. When partners participate and make that decision together, it engenders trust. Many cases, by the way, let me say, it is not that the businesses here are always the smaller ones and you're looking for partnerships from bigger institutions. There are also cases where the businesses represented in this forum are the stronger ones, and you'll be partnering with institutions that may be having less capacity, probably financial or expertise or otherwise than you are. Now, when there is no parity in businesses, the stronger one can, impose. I think it is important to there be sensitivity in consorting, to reach a consensus so that everyone's voice, at least the participants, everyone's voice is represented. They feel they have contributed to whatever decision has been made. That way, even if whatever decision has been made doesn't work out as good as was expected, at least there is ownership across, there is no ill will. There's a point which has been made about being distracted by higher promises of higher returns. This is a real threat when getting into partnerships and collaborations. All kinds of ideas are presented on the table, what we could achieve. Sometimes our own ambition, we are driven by ambition and the aim to succeed. It's quite easy to be overtaken. We can lose, in my community, we say you lose 4, chasing after 8. So it's still very important that we hold on to our 4, what is already in our hands, even as we go out to look out for the other, much more that could come. So let us not be distracted. A very good point has been made that partnerships add credibility to our businesses. This is very good. A partnership is like a feather on our cap or a jewel. We still have all these the business is running. It's like when you leave your house and you're dressed, you have all these things, but it does no harm when you have a beautiful brooch or a necklace. I'm looking for, the items that, help that ladies use as part of the dressing. A partnership on a business adds that attractiveness to it. There is something about it, that stands out. And this is what I was saying, whatever it is that we can gain, let us anchor it and show it. Let us not be shy where we have a successful partnership to flaunt it, to bring it to shine. Because let me just say, if today you as a business are working with a strong organization, let's say like Safaricom, maybe, or in one of our other successful companies, why wouldn't you want to tell that as part of a story? Yeah, I am working with so-and-so, or I'm trading with a company in Netherlands or China or these great economies that we want to access. This is very, very important. One of the things is I would like to say, when assessing where do you need collaborations, look out for what are you lacking. I had already said that point. What capacity are you lacking? And that will point you to where you need to identify collaborations and partnerships. Finally, I do see that there are some issues expressed here which allude or point to a need for a support. It may be for President Muloni and the CPF Rosemary, as you continue working together with the women in business, you might consider having a point, where a partnership development focal point within your organization, where if the women in business want to consult, and they can be advised, or just that hand-holding role somewhere, so that as they are building their confidence, that they are not held back by the fear of getting into this journey alone. And sometimes it's also pairing them with experienced business people who can tell them, this is how I did it, and we can work together. Otherwise, I want to thank you so much for the opportunity to have interacted with you. I leave this forum better informed and the wiser all for it. Thank you so much.
Thank you so very much, Professor. Thank you so very, very much. I don't know if you were able to touch on a comment from Rose Omango. I see George Okioma has said something regarding the concern that Rose Omango has, and Rose is asking what happens when you map out your potential collaborators and they all respond negatively, even with a well thought out proposal. That was the question from Rose, and I see that Mr. George Okioma has answered that. Perhaps as you make your final comments, Mr. Okioma, you could bring out the need for not giving up. Thank you. Karibu, George.
Thank you, Rosemary. Thank you once again, participants, for taking time. We really appreciate that you were able to take time in engaging with us. Just as a final comment, yes, I think just addressing what Madam Rose has mentioned, that is common in terms of, positioning yourself for a potential collaborator, and then they don't commit to it. This happens in business, but me, what I believe is that at the end of the day, it is the lessons you learn and how well then you use them in positioning your business for another potential collaborator. Definitely the situation will not be the same. So long as you get the feedback, you improve by the time, always we improve, and always look out for people who have benefited and who have been able to be successful in the first attempt. There are organizations who have locally who have made it possible in first time lucky, and we learn, and that is how I believe we should go about it. We never give up. But just also as a final comment, just to reiterate that at the end of the day, all this done, sometimes we invest so much in business as individuals, as the ladies. Women do take quite a lot of work at individual level, at home level, that sometimes we tend to forget ourselves and for our well-being. And I think that is why Madam President had shared the Ladybug product, which we introduced together. And that was largely because we knew that sometimes even when you work so hard, you need to set aside something for yourself, and that in the event then the business is unable to support you, you have something in form of some pension, in form of insurance, which then will be able to lift you up when you will no longer be able to run your business. And therefore, not only the Ladybug always is something to learn in business, is to make sure that either through the collaborator or if you don't find one, you always have that succession, arrangement in business, such that when you're not there, the business can still run and actually provide for you. And also, of course, as you get into these collaboration arrangements, always make sure you protect your interest, make sure you seek proper legal advice as you go in. As Prof mentioned, all of us have been in business in one way or another, and we've learned lessons sometimes that we ought to have done some things quite differently than is the case now. So sometimes this legal advice would be very, very useful, such that then your interests are also ring-fenced. I think without re-emphasizing much the aspect of culture, I would, we're just mentioning when you go to Ghana and you would want something from your fellow colleague at work, an email will not be so sufficient. But if you walk down to his desk, talk to him about how his day has been, how his family is, and that's the culture. And then at the end of the day, you put in your request and you will get your whatever you were looking at. So I think let's invest in that. I'm sure both locally and outside, let us understand these are our collaborators from that cultural perspective. Don't forget the aspect of tax and the proper record keeping, because sometimes collaborators or partners could want to look at how well, how professional is the business being run. Records like taxation records, audited accounts, financial statements, when well done, you inspire confidence when you're looking at a potential collaborator. I think all that unsaid, I'm sure there's a lot that we've learned, and I want to wish you all the best. And thank you once again for participating in. Thank you. Over to you, Rosemary.
Thank you very much, George. Thank you. I need not say more from what we have heard from Professor and what we have heard from George Okioma. Really, I need not say more. I'm going therefore to invite Lisa Beryl to make final remarks on behalf of Madam President, who has had to run for another engagement. Lisa Beryl, over to you. Lisa? Women in Business, Lisa, on behalf of Madam President. Okay, as we try to locate Lisa, we continue. We are actually just a few minutes to the hour. And so I wish to really thank you very, very much for being with us this morning. Thank you so very much, Professor. Thank you very much, George Okioma. We have gained very, very good and deep insights into this conversation on partnerships and collaboration. Standing very firmly as a key pillar is the issue of trust, trusting the process, trusting your partner. And if I were to add something regarding what Rose Omango said, we don't give up. When we are able to get to a point of congruence with our prospective or potential partners, it becomes very easy. When I know that I can shake hands with Mr. Okioma, it's because Mr. Okioma is looking for something that I have, and I am looking for something that Mr. Okioma has. Like I had said earlier, Mother Teresa already said it very well. I can do certain things that you cannot do. You can do certain things that I cannot do. And together we can do great things. So finding that point of congruence then becomes very important when we are identifying potential partners, especially because the partnership is meant for mutual benefit of the two parties. I don't know if we now have Lisa with us. Is Lisa with us? So if we are not able to find Lisa, allow me to thank you very, very much. Yes, Lisa is asking that we unmute her. Ken Morema, please unmute Lisa. Lisa is registered as Makeda. If you could unmute Makeda and enable her to speak to us. Please let me know when we are able to do so. Lisa, let us know when you're able to speak to us. Yes, Makeda is with us now. Thank you very much. Karibu sana.
Thank you, Rosemary. Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can.
Awesome. Thank you so much. On behalf of Mary Modoni, HSC President and CEO of Women in Business Kenya, allow me to say thank you for organizing this CPF Financials and most importantly, CPF Consulting. It has been an amazing, amazing, amazing webinar. A lot has been learned, a lot has been put across. Special thank you to George and Professor for all the insights that you have brought to us and to women at large. Also, thank you for every woman that has come out to really, really participate and learn, because at Women in Business, we believe that learning is the biggest stepping stone towards every achievement that we have. And I hope that, as Madam Modoni said, we will work together and face all these challenges together and come up with ideas and keep dreaming and keep working so that all these things work together for good. The Bible also says that everything works together for good when God is in it. So we pray and believe that God will give us life. And, you know, ideas will keep rushing in and we'll keep pursuing them. We will be knocked 10 times down, but we will rise 11. So thank you so much for this platform. We are humbled as Women in Business to be partners in this, and we hope to do bigger and better next time. Thank you so much.
Awesome, awesome. Thank you very much. Thank you, Lisa. That will be knocked down 10 times and will rise up 11. That is really very, very inspirational. And especially for those of us that have been trying to get into partnerships, we will be knocked down 10 times. We will rise up 11. Awesome. Thank you very much, Women in Business. Thank you very, very much, our participants. Allow me just one minute to speak about who we are, the CPF Consulting. CPF Consulting, the management advisory arm of CPF Group. A few of you may have had interactions with CPF Group in various areas. CPF Group, we are a group of companies. We are in the business of social security. We are in the business of IT and renewable energy. We are in the business of archival services. We are in the business of training and consulting, property and real estate. So we have been your hosts. Robert, if you could have that on slideshow. And we need someone to mute. Thank you very much. So we are in the business of training and consulting. For those of you that would be looking for strategic consultancies, we are good at that. At CPF Group, we started very, very small. And the first question we asked ourselves was, who are we and what do we want? And when we are able to explain to ourselves who we are, package ourselves who we are and where we want to go, then it becomes much, much easier to galvanize everybody's attention and everybody's focus towards that goal. So Robert, let's have that short slide on who CPF Consulting is. Let us have it on slideshow. Let's go to the next slide, next slide, next slide. I just want us to show the participants what exactly we are doing and what we actually do, especially where we have our training programs. Good people, we are the training and consulting arm of the CPF Group. And in our training programs, we focus mainly on transformative leadership, performance management, and specifically with the BSc, We love the idea of leading for success, leading for success. It all begins with leadership. Packaging your strategy, packaging your governance policies, packaging your business continuity, packaging who you are begins with leadership. And so as we discuss this conversation, we will be in Singapore later in the year in September. From the 26th to the 30th of September, we shall be discussing strategy and scenario planning for boards. I like that Madam President talked about peer-to-peer boards. So governance is very, very close to our heart. We also discuss matters to do with performance management because we believe that people who feel good about themselves produce good results, and people who produce good results feel good about themselves. So when you invest in your people, then you're able to reap investment in that organization. So you can talk to us on such programs. Building trust and collaboration, we have just gone through one such session, but we also do this on an in-house basis. We can come to your institution to build trust and collaboration within the institution, even as we go out to build trust and collaboration outside of our institutions. Next. Something else that is very, very close to our heart is preparing ourselves for exit. Even if you're running your own business, at some point, you will need to leave it to others to run it. The CPF group, we have been doing Social Security for the last more than 90 years. And we look at exiting an institution from three perspectives: preparing the new employees in a program we call Secure Tomorrow Today, enabling them to prepare themselves for the years when they will no longer be able to run the businesses that they run. Then we also have the passing the baton. You may be the president today, you may be the CEO today, but then in a few years, you need to hand over that baton to somebody else. How will you be living? How prepared are you to leave that institution? And how prepared is your institution to run without you? Finally, we have, in the same vein, preparing for the exit, we have life after life. Who will you be after you have left the big office? The big office where you're the CEO, you're the general manager, you are the founder. Who will you be after that? So we discuss next phases of life and where you perhaps may be experiencing reduced visibility. How can you serve society? How can you serve society? And in these three areas, we discuss psychological preparedness, financial planning, and management. We also discuss how we can run with our families and friends. How do we remain active in society? In consulting, we are in the consulting field where we consult on strategy formulation. If you do not have one, we can formulate one for you. Execution, if you have one, we can assist you in executing the same, which is called also implementation, making alignments so that your strategy is able to meet the objectives for which it was established. We can also assist you in reviewing your strategy if you have one. Good people, allow me to say something about strategy. It's very, very close to my heart. As I mentioned earlier, CPF was established many, many years ago, 1929. It wasn't until 2004 when the very first strategic plan was formulated that we began looking at a path towards growth. And with that strategic plan, we have now seen what CPF has become. So we keep saying that a strategy is an organization without a strategy is like a human being without a name. It is very difficult for anyone to know who you are. So strategy is really very, very critical for any institution and for any individual. training program, as I mentioned earlier, in Singapore, strategy and scenario planning. Given what is happening right now, it is critical. I truly hope you can hear me. It is important that we remain aware of what is likely to happen in our organizations. How do we manage the environment within which we are working? So we shall be meeting in Singapore discussing strategy and scenario planning for boards on the 26th of September to the 30th. And on the 5th of September to the 9th, we shall meet in Turkey discussing board transitions. We will also be meeting in Cape Town in November discussing blockchain technology. We will be in Mombasa with managers discussing strategy and scenario planning, strategy and strategic thinking. We will be discussing benchmarking for those of us that are in manufacturing and perhaps you're struggling with waste management. We shall be discussing waste management in Australia later on in the year. So through Women in Business, we shall share with you those flyers so that you can identify areas where you feel you'd be comfortable participating in. I wish to thank you most sincerely for being with us. I wish to thank Professor. Thank you, George. Thank you, everyone who has been with us, the back office team, Edith, Joshua Mwambura, Jacinta Kinuthia, Robert, and Rito, all of you that have made this possible. We wish to thank you most sincerely. Now at CPF, we love beginning and ending our programs with a word of prayer. I wish to invite Joshua Mwambura to conclude this with a word of prayer, even as I wish you a very, very beautiful day. Joshua Mwambura, please.
Thank you, Rosemary, for this very good morning, and let's pray. Father, in Jesus' name, we thank you, Lord, for this day. Thank you that you have taken us through from the beginning of this session to the very end. We bless your holy name, and as we leave to continue with our daily duties, we ask that you will guide us, protect us and our families, our businesses, everything we touch with our hands, may it prosper to the glory and honor of your holy name. In Jesus' name I pray, amen.
Amen. Thank you very, very much. Thank you everyone for being with us. Do have a lovely time where we are in China. I don't know what time it is. Those of you that are joining us from outside the country, do have a lovely, lovely time. And let's work towards creating partnerships and collaborations that work for us. Thank you so very much.
Thank you. Goodbye.